hospitals that wanted to expand to add more rooms just so they could write off the double of the amount that they're actually providing for free. And if everybody's like, well, Josh, doesn't that mean there's going to be a lot of lost tax revenue? No, not really. Yes, you're going to provide them the write-offs, but you're also going to prevent the government from having to pay for this monstrosity in the first place. So you're actually going to be increasing tax revenue. That's the short version. We have Christopher Key from SWATS. We'll get to SWATS in a minute. But Christopher, what do you say? How do we fix this thing?
How do we fix this thing? Well, I'm a big component to problem, reaction, solution, and I think what they're trying to do is cause war in the streets. So the answer to the solution to the problem is that they're saying this is a taxation, okay? Have you ever seen the documentary Freedom to Fascism, Josh?
I have. Yes, I have.
Aaron Russo was a very good friend of mine, and we've got his medical records that shows 30 days before he did not have terminal cancer. And the answer...
Whoa, wait, hold on. Now, that I didn't know. Let's back up, because that's kind of big. Hold on one second. Okay, so let's set the stage for everybody who's listening. Aaron Russo is the guy behind movies like Coming to America with Eddie Murphy and so on and so forth. He gets mad one day about taxation because he sees on television that people are protesting against taxes, calls it to his attorney, says, hey, do I really have to pay taxes? His attorney says, yes, of course you do. Aaron says, no, I'm serious. Give me an answer. So the attorney goes away for a little while, comes back and says, absolutely not, actually. We can't find a law that says this. So Aaron Russo grabs a camera, makes a documentary, Freedom to Fascism, boom, it explodes all along the web. He decides that he's going to run for office. Isn't that correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, sir.
So he decides, okay, I'm gonna run for office, see if I can fix some things, and then please pick up with what you just told me, because I haven't heard this.
Well, Aaron Russo found us. I have another company that we won't go much into, but he found us because of his terminal cancer, and we was able to get with him, and we got the medical records that shows 30 days prior to him dying, he was terminal. I mean, he was cancer-free. There was no more cancer in his body. Okay? The answer to the problem is there is no law that requires us to pay taxes. So the way you cut off the head of the snake is don't pay the taxes. If your listeners and all of us would unite and realize there is no law that requires us to pay income taxes, if you quit paying into the system, they can't put us all in jail. Okay? And people need to realize what is going on and realize that we've been hijacked by these offshore banks, and that the Federal Reserve is more federal than Federal Express.
Well, Christopher, I absolutely love the direction that this conversation is taking. We haven't talked at all about SWATs, but you've revealed something that I kind of had a suspicion about, and that's the fact that you're asserting that Aaron Russo was murdered.
I'm not asserting that. I just know that he did not die from terminal cancer. So, other than that, I can't put any assumptions out there. I don't know, but I know he did not have terminal cancer in his body 30 days prior to him dying.
And what did the coroner's report say for a cause of death?
The coroner report that has been told to all of us was terminal cancer, yes, sir.
Right, so now we have a problem here. If he didn't have terminal cancer 30 days ago, somehow develops it metastasizes whatever grows out of his body and kills him in under 30 days. Isn't that a little odd?
I think it's very odd, Josh. I think it's very odd. But when you begin to realize what Aaron Russo was doing and what truth he was bringing out, and people were beginning to wake up and realize what was going on. I mean, when I first saw the documentary after we started working with him, and he told me about this, I'm like, you're crazy. I mean, I always thought in school that, my taxes went to pay for the roads and the Army and the schools, and they come to realize not one single penny goes to pay for any of those things. It goes to pay the interest on the debt to the Federal freaking Reserve. And it's crazy.
Which is a privately owned organization, which means the Federal Reserve actually earns more money than Walmart, Exxon, General Motors, all of these large corporations. They just don't report it. That's why you don't see it on the cover of Forbes or something. But they're insanely profitable, and they're actually using all of our personal income tax, which is an illegal tax. They use our personal income tax to pay for their private organization. Meanwhile, the corporate tax, which did have legal ground on the Constitution, the corporate tax is what really funds everything that we think is funded by our tax dollar.
But again, since there's no law that requires us to pay income taxes, you don't have to pay the Obamacare taxes. You don't have to pay it. And when your listeners wake up and realize that, and we unite and quit giving these offshore banks all our hard-earned money, because you can't your own wages.
No, you can't. It's illegal, and for those of you who think, well, there's the 16th Amendment. The 16th Amendment was never ratified in the first place. So you're absolutely right. Now, Christopher, that is not why you're on the show today. I love the fact that I had no clue that you were into this sort of thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, Aaron Russo and taxes come up. That's just stellar. I am very encouraged at the rates of exposure that the truth is getting lately. So awesome. Okay, so Christopher, tell us why you are on the program. You have an organization called SWATS, which is Sports with Alternatives to Steroids. What is it? What is it all about? And then we're going to get to some of the more controversial issues.
Yes, the name of our company is SWAT, Sports with Alternatives to Steroids. We allow athletes to compete without using drugs, without using chemicals, and without having surgery. And because of that, Josh, we have now been officially banned, and the only company in the world that has been banned by the National Football League, the PGA, Major League Baseball, Alabama, Auburn, and LSU. Okay? This all started almost 10 years ago when the Mitchell Report came out. Are you familiar with the Mitchell Report?
I am. Most people aren't, but I am. So go ahead and kind of sum that up for listeners.
The Mitchell Report came out saying by Congressman Mitchell that there was a problem with anabolic steroids, and something needs to be done about it. Okay, so me and my partner came up with SWATS, and we came up with the idea to begin to educate these athletes about the problem with anabolic steroids and how bad they can be for the human body. But these athletes want to get bigger, they want to get faster, they want to be stronger, so you have to give them a solution. You have to give them an alternative. So we came up with all the different alternatives that would allow these things to happen without terrible side effects. And we got some of the most elite athletes in the world, like Ray Lewis, Johnny Danion, Jamal Lewis, Fred Funk, Buzzy Zeller, Coach Hugh Jackson, and we got all these elite athletes around the world to speak out about this. And when these athletes started speaking out about this, people started listening. And when the people start listening and they quit using the pharmaceutical drugs, they quit taking the Loratab, the Oxycontin, the cortisone, the cortisol, and they start putting these chips on the pain areas, and it works.
Well, we'll get to that chip. Hold on one second, Christopher. We're up against the break. We spent too much time talking about taxes. We'll get to that chip and much more right after the break. Want to be the smartest person you know? Then keep listening.
For a 14-day supply of safe, fresh water, and at a much lower cost than bottled water. Made in the USA with BPA-free material, the Aquapod keeps water fresh for up to 8 weeks. Just fill from your tub, then pump into jugs or bottles. The Aquapod is only $29.95, and when you buy 2 or more Aquapods at MyPatriotSupply.com, you'll qualify for free shipping. Plus, check out the Survival Seed Vault with 20 seed varieties, Tadler canning lids, the nation's only customizable long-term storable foods, and much more at MyPatriotSupply.com. Get stress-free shipping on all orders over $49. Call 866-229-0927 or visit MyPatriotSupply.com for emergency preparedness, self-reliance, and food independence.
So you don't want to carry a gun, but you do want to ensure your personal safety. Then empower yourself legally with self-defense products from StunGunMikes.com. Stun guns come in more shapes than just what you see on TV. Now you can get a powerful mini stun gun that fits in the palm of your hand, a stun baton, or a cell phone or lipstick stun gun. StunGunMikes.com also carries real spy gear like bug and metal detectors and discreet car and home security cameras that hide in almost any type of everyday object, from alarm clocks to pens. Now you can see how your babysitter really treats your children. Go to StunGunMikes.com, spelled just like it sounds. StunGunMikes.com. Buy real spy gear from StunGunMikes.com, just like the exact same spy gear sold to the government, military, corporate security, law enforcement, and private detectives. Empower yourself with self-defense products now from StunGunMikes.com.
Healthy soils grow healthy plants. So before you plant your survival garden this year, is your soil healthy? Maximize your crisis garden soil with EM1 from Terraganics. EM1 organic soil conditioner, fertilizer amendment, and compost accelerant provides healthier gardens and faster, efficient garden compost. EM1 from Terraganics.com quickly improves soil structure by increasing nutrients availability and converting organic matter into soil humus. This improves seed germination and root growth, improves plant quality, size, color, flavor, nutrient value of fruits and vegetables, and improves shelf life. When rain is not in the forecast, no worries. EM1 improves moisture retention in soils, helping reduce drought stress. Just like you prepare all else, prepare your crisis garden.
a lot looser when I first got trying out, so look for great things to come. Trying out something that I just learned about literally a half an hour ago walking the truck, and I have back problems, I have ailments with my arms, numbness in my hands, so I'm looking forward to seeing if some of the stuff you showed me today does what he promised it does work.
Actually, guy told you, let's be honest, fisherman to fisherman.
Actually, I met him, the guy behind the camera, see what I said.
So we're talking to Christopher Key, one of the owners of SWATS, which stands for Sports with Alternatives to Steroids. You know, fitness and getting in shape and athletics and all that sort of stuff, favorite topics of mine. So I love bringing on guests to talk about that. And then I found it even more interesting that Aaron has a connection not only to just the sports performance side of things, but also the I guess we could call it the other side, the dark side of this whole industry, and that's this mechanism which kind of tries to keep good products, good companies down and keeps them down on purpose. So, Christopher, you were starting to tell us a little bit about your products. We have hinted that there was some controversy. You told us that you're now banned from most sporting organizations and some universities. What was the cause of the ban? Why did they say you're banned? I mean, because obviously there's other sports supplement companies out there with products that are going into these athletes' bodies. What was it about yours that created this gap or this break?
Well, for number one, it worked, Josh. It was not a pharmaceutical drug. It was something that could not be patented, okay? The main one they started giving us all the trouble about was some spray that we have that's called antler velvet, okay? Are you familiar with HGH, human growth hormone?
I am, yes.
Okay, when athletes take HGH, it's converted by the liver to IGF-1. IGF-1 is what does everything to allow the body to rebuild, recover, and rejuvenate. And we have deer that we harvest out of New Zealand. Their antlers are the fastest growing substance on planet Earth. They grow almost an inch a day, okay? The reason why they grow so fast is because of the high concentrate of IGF-1 that is found on the tip of the antlers. We've been able to freeze-dry it, extract it out, put it into a sublingual spray that you spray under your tongue, and it gives your body all the nutrients to allow it to rebuild, regrow, and rejuvenate. But the IGF-1, by NFL standards, is considered a banned substance. And the crazy thing with NFL is they don't understand there's a difference between synthetic and natural, okay? You know that they're giving all their athletes at the training table milk and meat. You know all milk and meat now in America has bovine growth hormone in it, Josh?
Oh, man. You know, the more I find out about what's actually in the stuff I'm putting in my mouth, the less stuff I actually want to put in my mouth.
It's so sad. So they're giving their athletes an illegal substance at the training table, but yet they're going to ban us for giving the athletes a completely, truly natural substance, okay? Let's go to testosterone, okay? Testosterone synthetically is banned by the NFL. They can't ban natural testosterone because your body produces it in your testes, so unless they castrate every single athlete, they can't ban natural testosterone. Just like IGF-1. Every human being produces IGF-1 in the pituitary gland. So they can't ban natural IGF-1 unless they take the pituitary gland out of every single athlete. So it's just lack of education, and that's what we're trying to do, is educate the athletes and educate the public that there are very simple things to allow your body to rebuild, recover, and rejuvenate without using pharmaceutical drugs.
And all of a sudden they ban you. Now that's not the only product you have is this spray, but you have some other ones that kind of raise some eyebrows, like the Edge Performance bands. Now these are bands with little holograms on it or something that are supposed to do. Well, actually, I'm not sure what they're supposed to do. And to be honest with you, when I see things like this, I'm thinking, wait a second, isn't this just some form of snake oil sort of product? What's the deal with your performance bands?
Well, let me go ahead real quick. The very first discovery I brought to America was almost 20 years ago, and it was called the Bod Pod. Are you familiar with the bod plot, BOD,
I am. I'm not sure where I've heard it, but yeah, I am actually.
The bod plot is the most advanced technology for measuring body composition in the world now. 20 years ago, I brought it to market, and all my professors, everybody laughed at me and said, there's no way you can sell this $35,000 piece of equipment. But now it's the gold standard. So then we came up with this other technology, and everybody's laughing at me. I went to my professors, because my professors always told me, if you didn't understand something, take it back to the lab, let's do double-blind placebo studies. Okay? So that's what we did. We did these double-blind placebo studies and proved that these bands did increase endurance, did increase strength, did help reduce pain. Okay, we've got the clinical studies. There's many companies out there now that they say they have these goofy bands and whatnot. We're the company that started this, and everybody laughed at us and made fun of us, but we've got the research to back it up. The number one company out there just got a class action lawsuit for $53 million because they had no clinical research to back up any of this. Okay, and to help your listeners understand what is happening right now while I'm talking to you, Josh, there are frequencies going through our bodies from the cell phones to the Wi-Fi to the power lines, the radio towers. They're going through our bodies 90 to nothing. Okay? So imagine the national championship game when Alabama was playing LSU. You got 100,000 people there at the Dome. They all have cell phones. So can you imagine the frequencies that are going back and forth throughout that field? Okay? They affect you, I believe, very negatively, and science will show this. But again, for every action, there has to be an equal and opposite reaction. So what we've been able to do, Josh, is take a hologram. Okay? For your listeners that don't know what a hologram is a storage center for information. This was a discovery by NASA. Okay? We can take that hologram, which is a storage center for information. We can put frequencies in that hologram to help with balance, flexibility, endurance, help with pain, and then we just use ancient Chinese medicine acupuncture points to then resonate those frequencies throughout your body. Okay? And everybody's like, well, frequencies can't do that. Warrior Raymond Wright in 1934 proved that everything on planet Earth had its own frequency which it resonated. Did you know this?
Yeah, I did. And when it comes to the hologram thing also, I know that from a mental sciences perspective, we also know now that we remember things in a holographic sort of way. And that's part of the reason why people who get an organ transplant, let's say you were a smoker, for example, and you got you died and somebody got your liver who was never a smoker. Then all of a sudden they have these urges to smoke, and it's because we've discovered now that your cells can retain information in a holographic sort of way, and they're actually working on a holographic memory system for computers because it allows us to retain a lot more information and access it in a more speedily way, which is why we really haven't been able to understand where your memory goes in your mind. Like, oh yeah, you remember my name, but we can't find the cell that remembered it, pull it out, and now you don't know. It's because we remember in a holographic way. And also in regards to the frequency, I've also seen some studies that say women who sleep on springed mattresses and they have their cell phone with them in bed, those springs kind of act as an amplifier to the frequencies coming out of their cell phones, and it increases their risk of breast cancer. So the foundational things you're talking about are spot on.
Well, again, your cell phone today, if you're talking to your cell phone for 20, 30 minutes and you feel it getting hot, everybody thinks the cell phone's getting hot, but it's not getting hot. Take the cell phone away from your ear, fill the back of it, and it will not be hot. It's physically cooking your brain. It's cooking your brain, okay? Now, talking about the brain, the other big problem that's in the NFL right now is the problems with concussions. Have you been reading much about this at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, again, I told you earlier, I'm big about problem, reaction, solution. Since there was this major problem with concussions in the NFL, we came up with a way to fix this. Again, I'm not a medical doctor. I do not practice medicine without a license, but we've now developed a nucleic-coated tablet, okay, that bypasses the stomach and goes into the small intestine, okay? Do you know you actually have two brains in your body? Did you know this?
No.
You have a brain in your head, and you also have another brain in your small intestine. Okay?
Oh, I thought you were going to go to a dirty place there for a second, Chris.
No. The brain in your small intestines actually has more neurotransmitters than the brain in your head does. Have you ever heard somebody say they feel their gut or they have that gut feeling?
Yeah.
Because you physically felt it there, okay? Mainstream science now has recognized there is a second brain in the body in the small intestine, okay? So we're able to bypass the stomach, get to the small intestine, and we're able to put more of the antler velvet more colostrum, astragalus, and ginseng throughout the body, and we've been able to heal the brain. Okay? We've got videos.
The brain in the intestine, or the brain in the mind, or in the head?
Both of them.
Okay.
Both of them. We got videos from Bill Goldberg, the wrestler, Joe DeLamalero, the Hall of Fame lineman for O.J. Simpson, Tony Dorsett, Charles Haley, all these ball players that have had all these major issues with concussions.